Well, hello there. We are doing March's book picks for the book clubs that I am in. And as you can see, I'm holding some up right now. But we are going to jump into this because I have been in a reading slump, but I am out of my reading slump and I am ready to read. So we're just going to jump into it. I don't remember when the live shows are for these books, but if you do not know what this video is, the book clubs that I am participating in this year include the Book Troop, Literary Day Book Club, and then Ravished by Romance. So I am trying to really stay on top of that because I would like, the whole point of it is to get more involved in the reading community this year. And I have enjoyed it a lot so far. So if you haven't catched the last two videos, go check them out because they're fun. So this month we have The Spite House, which is a debut book about this guy going to this haunted house with his daughters and trying to start over, but the whole point of him going to this house is to record the paranormal activity going on in this house. And this is also the Literary Debt Book Club pick, so I'm really excited about this. It's rather short, but I've heard nothing but fabulous things about this. I've heard that it's fast-paced, heard that it's scary, so this is the horror book for Literary Debt Book Club. Then the next one is a Grady Hendrix book, and I will tell you a little secret. I have never read a Grady Hendrix. I have 4 books on my shelf of Grady Hendrix, but I've never read anything by him. This is also about a haunted house, but it's about these people. I think they're siblings, I believe. Siblings. Yes. Siblings. Somebody's parents have died. They're cleaning out the house to try to sell it. And it's supposed to be like a satire horror thriller book. And then the third book that I have is this book right here. It is a fantasy romance. I think it's about shape-shifting or something like that. Maybe it has some fae in it. I'm not really sure, but that's for the Ravished by Romance book club. And I'm really excited because this is the first book in a series. And if I like it, because the cover is absolutely gorgeous, if I like it, I'm probably going to continue with it because I've been really wanting a new fantasy series to get into. So those are the books that I'm reading for the month of March for my book club people, my book clubs that I'm in. So hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you, when I get 50% into one of these books. So the first book I'm going to read for this video is The Spite House. I got about 15 pages into it last night, fell asleep because I started reading it really late, but I'm excited about this. The overall atmosphere right now is a dad who is running from something, trying to figure out his life, and also his kids' lives as he is on the run from something. And he comes across this ad in a paper where it is an obscene amount of money to stay in this house that is supposedly the most haunted house in Texas. I think it's Texas. Yes, in Texas. And he is supposed to catalog the events that happen in the actual story, but I'm seeing alternating chapters already between his oldest daughter and him. And her name is Des. His name is Eric. We also have the younger sister who is Stacy. And I don't know how old she is, but I think Des is early teens maybe. But they are running from something. So excited to continue on with this. And I'll let you know when I'm 50% in how I feel. So I know I said I was going to read The Spite House, but then I started to read this because I have the audiobook for it. And I'm already halfway through. And y'all, okay. Let me tell you a little bit of something about me. I am not a doll person whatsoever. I do not like dolls. Dolls freak me out. Especially the ones that have little eyes that we go up and down. And I can't do it. And this book is all about freaking dolls. This book has a lot of dolls in it. And then there was something that happened with a doll. And I about pooped my pants because it scared me. Because I'm listening to it and it's dark. And this has been my book that I fall asleep to, which is not smart on my part. But something happened and I just every little sound that my house made, it freaked me out. So this book is doing what it's supposed to do, but this book also on a more serious note, this book is dealing with a lot of grief because the parents just passed away. What is her name again? Louise and her brother Mark, their parents just passed away, so they are going through the process of having to split the like the estate of their parents, and Louise and Mark don't get along, and they are constantly at each other's throats. So there's a lot of animosity there, and there's a lot of there's just a lot of stuff going on that they're having to deal with. Plus now the house itself and things in the house itself, stuff is happening. And we just found out about a little bit about Louise and Mark's past and why they don't get along, and what happened when Mark was a little boy and when Louise was small, and just how their parents, especially their mother, was obsessed with dolls and puppets and stuff like that, and how that actually hindered their relationship. So there's just a lot of stuff going on. It's like grabbing at the heartstrings a little bit, you know. Plus it's also really freaking creepy. It's really creepy. There's a lot of psychological stuff going on. There's some paranormal stuff going on. There's just a lot wrapped up in this book, and it is doing what it's supposed to do. This is the first Grady Hendrix book that I've read. I have quite a bit of books of his on my backlist and on my bookshelf. I just haven't gotten to them yet, but I really like his writing style. I like how frantic it is at times, where he's telling the story and then there's internal thoughts and stuff like that. So I highly recommend the audiobook, because I think if I had to read this book just with my eyeballs, it would be a little confusing at times. But the audiobook is really, really good. I like the narrator. And now halfway through it, we are at a different with a different narrator. The first one was Louise's narration, and then I think the next one's going to be Mark's. I think. I don't know, but we'll see. But this book is separated into the different parts of grief. The first part is denial, then depression. So it's, I think, yeah. Oh, okay. Denial, anger. Third part, bargaining, maybe? Yes, bargaining. Then you got depression. So it's just broken up into the different stages of grief, which I think is pretty smart. Like, I really enjoy this book. I probably don't need to read it anymore when I'm going to sleep, but it's just like one of those books that I can't put down. I have to put down because it's creeping me out so bad. I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying it. I'm gonna have to read something sweet and cuddly, because I have been reading some dark books lately, and I need something a little bit sweet and cuddly. So I might do something about that. But anyways, I just wanted to fill you in and let you know that I am still reading Spite House, but I'm 50% into this book, so I'm probably going to switch over to Spite House today, but I'll probably read some more of this before I go to bed tonight. So, update. I'm halfway through this now. I found this audiobook on Script or whatever, Scribed, whatever you want to call it, and I'm really intrigued because this is a haunted house, and this family is renting it, and they're having to write like what's going on in the house. But then we are also getting a side of the story that this house is very infamous and it's haunted. And we're getting like the background of this house, who lived there before, the renters that lived there before, and something happened to them. And it's a lot of going back and forth like that, but I'm really enjoying it. The narrator for the audiobook, his voice is like, it's very deep and groggly and all that kind of stuff, and I'm really enjoying it. I'm really liking the tone it's setting for this story. And Eric and his girls are, something just happened where they had to leave the house, and Eric is determined to go back to it so he can fulfill his work that he's supposed to be doing, because it's a lot of money. Like, there's a lot of money involved, and he needs the money. But the woman who, Eunice, the owner of this house, this house has been in her family for a really long time, and she's wanting to try to discover something about the house, a particular spirit that's still in the house. She's really wanting information about that, and that's why she's been hiring people to go to this house and like make a record of what they experience in it. but something that just happened to this family really, like, oh, it creeped me out. And like I like the tone of this book. It's creepy and it keeps you guessing. Like, I've guessed a lot. At some points I was kind of confused with what was going on, but I like that aspect about this book. But yeah, so halfway through this, plan on reading it a little bit more tonight. And then I also have this one as well. And then I also have The Longing of Lone Wolves. I found that on Scrib too. So this might just like turn into a whole audiobook reading vlog for the month of March. But I did find that book on Scrib too, and I plan on listening to that as well. It's a big old book. Like, it's over 450 pages, so it's a big old book, but it's romance. So I'm really excited about it. I'm really liking what I'm reading right now. I just wanted to fill you in. I am in a mood today, but I did end up finishing 2 books that I was reading that I've already told you about. So The Spite House ended up giving 4 stars. This was it's not a fun book by any means, but it's a book that's important, and it shows the lengths that a parent would go for their children to try to save them. Eric and his 2 girls are running from something in their past, and Eric finds odd and end jobs to help them stay afloat. And we have Des and Stacy. Des is the older sister, where Stacy is the younger sister. And I believe that Des is around like maybe 16, 17, never really said, but Stacy is young. She's about 5 or 6. And they're just like, they're trying to make it in the world. And Eric comes across this ad in a newspaper about this house that's supposed to be the most haunted house in Texas. And it's an obscene amount of money, so he's like, I'm gonna do that. And all that he is supposed to have to do is record what goes on in the house. But they quickly find out that the house is a lot more sinister than the owner is letting on. And it just shows, like I said, the story just shows the lengths that a father or parent would go to make sure that their children survive something like this. And it was a slower book. I don't think that it's going to be scary to a lot of people, but to a parent, like, you know, because I'm a parent, it's terrifying that something would happen like this. And to see the dad just like go through it for his kids was something that a lot of people don't have in their life. And I think that this is a really important story. So I gave it 4 stars. It was a good book. I plan on reading more of Johnny Compton's writing. This is his debut book, but I really enjoyed it. And the narrator for this book has like a deep, groggly voice and just like set the tone and the atmosphere for this book. And I loved his voice. I loved his voice. I was just like, I was wanting to listen to it. Like this morning, this is the first thing that I did after I dropped Charles off and got home and started working. This was the first thing I did, is I listened to this book, and I enjoyed it. Like, I enjoyed it a lot. So there's this. The live show for this, I'm not sure when it is, but I'll put some footage in here for you.
And because he's desperate, he's like, all right, might as well give it a shot. And so they end up going into the Spite House, and we learn about the history, why it's called that, what's going on, the spookiness inside, in addition to the background of the family and why there are additional pulls for them to want to explore more of the Spite House. So, yeah.
Fantastic. I love making the new people take that on, because I am not so eloquent. If we want to, before we get into spoilers, just get into our rating and kind of a brief explanation why, and then we'll get into all of our thoughts and feelings. But just quick ratings to establish, you know, our places. I'll tell you, I give it a 3.75. I'll just get it out of the way. I didn't dislike it. I didn't love it. I thought it was...
Now let's talk about this crazy book, okay? So this book right here, okay, this book brought out the fear like the childhood fear, not childhood, I still have the fear in adulthood too, about dolls. I do not like dolls. I do not like puppets. I do not like anything that pertains to them, especially when they got the little weird eyeballs like go like this up and down. I already said that in the last clip. But this book, I gave it 4.5 stars because the beginning of this was rather slow and it was a lot doing with Louise and Mark just like arguing back and forth about the estate and everything. But after the 100-page mark, this book like ramped it up and crazy things were happening. So this book is all about Louise and Mark having to clean out their late parents' house, and for some reason their mother was obsessed with like dolls and puppets and making dolls and just creepy, like the whole house was full of them. Whole house was full of them. And it was always something that Mark and Louise were scared of as they were growing up, and it creeped them out as an adults too, as it should. But they're just trying to like navigate through that, trying to figure it out. They don't have a good relationship whatsoever. But this book halts their spat completely because they are literally trying to survive they're trying to survive. They're trying to save each other's lives because something in the house is trying to kill them constantly. And y'all, there was one part in this book that it made me because of, if you know, the garage scene where Mark's arm, anyways, that scene just like that scene just like freaked me out. So I like Grady Hendrix's writing style. I've heard that it's not for everyone, but I liked it. I liked the satire in here. I liked the overall like horror / funniness of it. It's gory, but it's also kind of funny too. Some parts made me laugh where it's not supposed to, so maybe I have a sick twist of humor. Well, I do. But it was also like really heartwarming too, in a weird way. It was very heartwarming in ways because this is about grief. This is about two people going through grief together, trying to figure out life together, like life after their parents passing away. That was, I mean, I haven't experienced that, but I have seen it happen to friends and family, and it's not an easy thing to go through, especially when you have a little crazy thing like this book, like something in this book happening too, and you just can't grieve like you're supposed to. So, but the weird thing about it is, the crazy thing in this book is, and I'm talking about an object, but the object in this book is also grieving, so it was kind of sad too. It was sad because there's a family secret in this book, and it opens your eyeballs to as why this little crazy thing is doing what it's doing, but it doesn't justify what. Anyways, whatever. Here is the live show for this.
I'll take my camera over. Just like, actually it works because my photo's there and it looks like I'm sending it. That's a twist. It might not be here, we don't know. Okay.
Got my heart in open eyes, and needle in my eye.
They sound stupid.
Oh, sorry. Don't judge me.
We're not judging.
Oh, cross my heart. Oh my god.
I would have loved to have seen your face doing that actually. Why did you have to my camera off?
Daddy, that was amazing. No, that was a 10 out of 10. Oh, okay.
Hey, come on, Lexi, bring it home. Bring it home. Keep the camera on.
I'm not doing that if you guys turn it off. God. Okay. Oh, I have to really focus because like I keep laughing.
You can do it. You can do it.
Okay, here we go. Okay. Cross my heart and hope to die. Stick a needle in my eye.
So now I am reading The Longing of Lone Wolves, or The Lone Wolf of Longing. This book right here. This book. I'm reading it, and I'm reading it on audio. So this is like a straight up audio book reading vlog that we're doing here, because I have not been wanting to read my eyes. I've been wanting to listen. So yeah, I'm reading this. This is about Clark and Rush. Clark has survived basically the world ending, and now Fae have taken over the world, and they're trying to survive because something is about to happen, and they're attracted to each other, but something's going on with Rush where he's not allowed to touch people, and if he touches people he gets hurt. And Clark is like, she's got some kind of like psychic ability, I believe, and she can see the future, she can see things that are about to happen, all that kind of stuff. So it's interesting so far. There's a lot of like fantasy things, so I'm having to really pay attention because some of it's just kind of like over my head. This is a high fantasy romance, and y'all know, well, if you don't, I have a problem understanding, or it's hard for me to understand some high fantasy or high fantasy in general. Typically high fantasy romance is okay because it's romance, but this has a lot in it. There's a lot of things going on, and I'm having to pay attention a lot. So there's that. I'm enjoying it though. It's interesting. There's like wolf shifters. I like wolf shifters. Okay, that is my update. I'll fill you in when I'm 50% into the Loan of Longing Wolves, that book. Here to update you. So I am about 58% into the Longing of Lone Wolves. I finally got it right this time, and I'm enjoying it. It's okay. It's the big alpha type takes over, blah blah blah, you know, that kind of story. So if you're not into that, then don't read this book. But I'm enjoying all like the mythical creatures that are in here. There's of course a bad guy, there's a lot of angst, there's a lot of steam, there's just their mates and all that kind of stuff. So that kind of story, I don't know if you'd like this or not, because it's about, you know, mates and people falling for each other because they smell good and stuff like that. So I don't know, I'm enjoying it. I don't know if this is going to be like a super high rated book for me, but I am enjoying it. It's a good change from what I have been reading lately. I've been reading some really dark books, so I just needed something fun, and this is it. So it's a fun book. It's fun. But there are some things in here, like Rush, we find out something about him that's really sad. And Clark, we find out that she was a part of a group that helped in the world in the apocalypse. So she's going through that. She's also, like I said, a psychic or a seer is what they call in here. So she can actually see things happen before they happen. So they're working together to try to figure some stuff out. And again, it's just fun. It's just a fun book. So there's my update. And I know that I look ridiculous with my towel on my head, but I washed my hair today. So there's that. So I am in the live for the Longing of Lone Wolves, or whatever it's called. I ended up giving it a 3.5. I enjoyed the world building. I enjoyed the characters separately. I did not really ship Rush and Clark all that much. I liked them separately, and I liked their storylines separately. I liked what they were doing separately, but I just didn't feel the connection that they had between each other. I also really liked their backstories. I liked all the other side characters. I'm more interested in Thorn than I am in Rush. Rush just wasn't my cup of tea in a lot of ways. He, like as a hero, as a individual character where he's taking care of people, he was cursed, all that kind of stuff. I really liked that aspect of it, but I just didn't like him and Clark together. And that was the whole point of it. Like, I was more interested in the creatures, learning about the creatures. I was more interested in learning about, like I said, Rush and Clark individually. I was more interested in learning about the other characters. So 3.5, I am going to continue on with the series. I listened to the audiobook. I think that listening to the audiobook for this book for me was a good thing, because if I read this story, I think just with my own eyeballs, I would not have finished it probably. I enjoyed the audiobook, but I understand where people are coming from when they say that reading fantasy audiobooks aren't for them. For me, it helps me with the characters. So
Reading fantasy in audio, it's brutal.
What did you guys end up rating our book? I finished it too, so.
Okay, I'll go first because I loved it. But like, I love Lana, but I know not everybody agrees with it. But I give it a 4.2 because it was literally the start of the series.
There's only a 9-week wait on book 2, so.
I'll tell you what, like, she really does have something special with this. And then she's also coming out.
I am going to end this vlog here while I participate in the live for this particular book. I enjoyed this a lot. I really liked being able to listen to all 3 of these books on audio. And yeah, so I am ready for April. So I will see you in April with another video for the book club picks. You'll see more video. Well, yeah, it's April. You'll see me in April, okay? Okay, thank you so much. Make sure you hit the subscribe button before you leave, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.